Hello, all of my YouTube folks. I'm not really prepared to shoot a video here. I'm just kind of doing this as an impromptu thing. But I'm coming to you live, I guess. Well, it won't be live when you see it, but I'm coming to you very impromptu from Veterans Park, which is in Arlington. I believe it's on Spanish Parkway, which is also known as Veterans Way. I didn't have anything hugely specific that I wanted to talk to. Well, I kind of do have something somewhat specific I want to talk to you guys about. And we're just going to be heading into the wildscape area to have our discussion here. So hopefully you get some nice views in the background. Veterans Park is really beautiful, by the way. It's a nice place to come and just decompress and relax a little bit, which is why I thought I'd come here to talk to you guys today, because things in the world are, well, the world, the nation, everything like that is just not like it used to be. Even for us late stage Gen Xers, it's not like it used to be. It's almost not even okay to call a company about a job you applied for now. You have to understand how difficult and strange a concept that is to me, because almost all my job hunting life, it has been about applying online. Paper applications were already kind of on their way out, when I started applying for work. But it was always acceptable to apply for a thing, call the company you applied for, or make an appearance if they were near enough, and at least talk to the hiring manager or someone in charge of hiring. Put your interest out there, get your foot in the door, and hopefully get an interview. But it seems to me like those types of things just aren't even really considered okay anymore to do. In fact, a lot of companies will now blacklist you for doing that. I applied for a grocery clerk position at Kroger one time recently, and for probably the 10th time applying for this thing over the last 10 years, was denied. And I guess we'll go off into the nature a little bit here. And the person I spoke to about this said that Kroger didn't handle their job hiring at the store level anymore, and that I was making myself look really bad to be calling. And that was just really confusing. I've probably had, 3 or 4 interviews over the last, maybe 5 interviews over the last, handful of weeks. And those interviews haven't really gone anywhere, despite feeling like pretty good interviews. I guess what I'm sort of trying to say here is that I'm just kind of, not in the best place, guys. I mean, I'm not suicidal or anything like that, but I am very discouraged, and I feel very, downtrodden, and just, in many ways, for lack of a better term, obsolete. Like, there are so many young people looking to do these jobs that I'm applying for that the company I'm applying for is literally like, we can either hire an old guy with moderate experience, or we can hire a young guy with moderate experience. The young guy will probably be easier to mold and will likely hit the company's medical insurance less, which I can hardly argue with being sound reasoning and logic on their part. Companies are around to make money, but my part-time job, I've had that part-time job be 11 years in July, but I still only make about $12 an hour doing that job, and I'm lucky to get between 10 and 15 hours a week. And it, you know, back when my rent was cheaper, that got me by. But now that the rent's gone up, I basically don't make enough money to pay my rent and keep me and Joe and Ginny fed, you know. Speaking of which, if any of you that watch are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, if you need to get some food for your pets and you're kind of down and out, you can check out the DFW Humane Society. They are out on Valley View Lane, and they will give you, assuming that they have it, they will give you a pet food donation. I don't know about for other critters, but for dogs or cats. Spite. Sorry, buddy. For dogs or cats, no questions asked. I believe that you can only do it every 2 weeks. I try and do it as little as possible. Maybe a couple of times a year when I'm between temp assignments or what have you. So I went ahead and got a food donation for Joe and Jenny, my cats, today, and I just want to say that, like, I really love those people, you know. Thank you for that. You know, although I don't typically have a whole lot of time to wait around in a line, because I do have part-time work to go on, and I am trying to apply for work and stuff, and just I'm not comfortable doing that on my phone. There are several food pantries around. There are many food pantries that will make an appointment with you, and that can be very helpful. By the way, guys, it's after 8 p.m., so it is pretty late over here, and I am just wandering around on some of the footpaths in the nature area. So that'd be another thing. If you really need to kind of clear your head, I really recommend coming out here to Veterans Park in Arlington if you're in the area. It's worth the drive, even if you're a little bit away. Probably take my sunglasses off now. Although they are prescription, I can't see as well without them. But like I was saying, I've never been told I mentioned this recently in another video. I've just never been told that an interview went well, by the interviewer. Like, hey, I liked your interview, you seem a good candidate, everything like that, the typical stuff that you like to hear. To actually, cross a little brook here. They have some stepping stones, available. Of course, my balance is in question these days, but, I've just never been told so many times that something went well and gotten a, yeah, thanks for your interest in this or that, but, we decided to choose somebody younger and more moldable than you, is really what it feels like. And the temp racket is getting to be a racket. You'll go out and do an interview for a thing, and it won't even be for the thing you applied for or the pay that it said it would be. And you still can't put yourself in a situation where it's costing you too much to work, A 90 to 120 minute commute round trip at $16 an hour. I mean, that's really cutting it close on, am I getting paid to work or am I paying them to work? Sometimes, I don't know. I'm just in a really difficult spot. I mean, they keep saying UBI is inevitable for our country now, the way that jobs are disappearing and AI is taking over and everything like that. And I'm with, I don't like to say I'm with people like Elon Musk very often, but I think he's right. I don't think he's right about universal high income, but I think we're at a point where, there have been so many jobs outsourced and now replaced by AI, like soft AI, and this is the guy who's trying to pump out 10 million robots, like Optimus robots, a year. We all know how Elon's plans tend to go, though. It's just that it's necessary now. I mean, if at least my rent and some food every month was taken care of right now, I feel like I could be in a much more productive place, if that makes any sense. Because as it stands right now, it's like I'm struggling to find the words. It's almost difficult to be motivated, I mean, I realize I'm risking being out on the street and everything like that, and I can't rely on my brother and my dad forever. But I'm also just not as young as I used to be. I'm pretty beat up, especially the right side of my body has a lot of musculoskeletal issues. It is very hard for me to pound the concrete at a warehouse for a 12-hour shift. Like I said, I'm starting to feel just a tad bit obsolete, which, you'll have a bunch of boomers saying, oh, there are plenty of companies that hire older people, but these are also mostly retired boomers who, haven't had to look for a job in some time. See if I can get the lake fountain in there. nice little lake here that they allow fishing at and stuff. And then, like I said, this is veterans, so they have all these, war memorials as well. If I can get back over here, I might film some of those out for you at some point. But video's getting a little bit long, and I need to concentrate on some thinking, so just, I wouldn't normally say this because I'm just not this kind of person. I think if a job doesn't make you happy, if it makes you miserable, you shouldn't do it. And even just 3 or 4 years ago, I would have said, you ought to be applying for stuff and try your best to leave that place, or at least do something different. I've mentioned on the channel before that I have about 3 or 4 years in me doing the same thing, and after that it just becomes almost misery to continue doing. A lot of times it's hard to move around inside a company. But if I were going to give advice based on today, what's going on today in today's world, today's economy, I would say keep your job. If you can physically do it. I mean, my last job paid okay, but I just couldn't physically do it as much as they needed me to, and they would not shorten my shift or anything, because again, there's always somebody else. But this reminds me of that movie Office Space, where I forget the main character's name, but he wants to have himself hypnotized so that he can just feel like he's not at work. He'll just wake up when it's all done and just be time to go home and everything like that. I was actually wanting that before I even saw that movie. I think if some hypnotist could come up with a way to do that, say this word before you go to work, or right when you get to work, and you'll be in a hypnotic trance for at least 8 hours of your shift, and you'll be a good little automaton droid and do whatever you were told while you were there, and then after that you'll feel like you were never there. I think that guy would make a fortune if he could actually do it. I am simply not one of those people who can do that anymore. Anyway, I know I have a meager number of subscribers, but to all of you that do subscribe and pay attention and watch my stuff, I really appreciate you guys over the years. My channel doesn't make any money. It has no real success of being monetized or anything like that. So this is more cathartic. This is more something that I do because talking to you guys helps. Anyway, I'm gonna bid you good night. It's been a nice long video. This is goemonronin signing out from Veterans Park in Arlington, Texas.